is Yunita Eka Wulandari, and here I will retell the novel in the title The Little Lady of the Big House, and I will explain the chapter 3. In the chapter 3, the story is Forrest entered a section of the big house by way of a massive, hewn timber iron-studded door that led in at the foot of what seemed a dungeon keep. The floors was cement and doors led off in various directions. One opening to this that deflected Forrest from his strange path. He paused, holding the door ajar, and peered into a cool, electric-like cement room where stood a long glass-fronted, glass-shelved refrigerator flanked by an ice machine and a dynamo. On the floor, in greasy overalls, squatted a greasy little man to whom his employer nodded. And the conversation. "Anything wrong, Thompson?" he asked. There was the answer, positive and complete. "Do you want to come along at 11:30? Thayer and I are running out in the machines to look over the surfaces. He wants about 10 carloads of rams. You ought to find good stuff in this matter of Idaho shipment. Bring your camera along. Seen Thayer this morning? Just come in the breakfast as we were leaving." Bert Wainwright volunteered. "Tell him to be ready at 11:30 if you see him. You are not invited." Bert out of kindness. "The girls are sure to be up then. Take Rita along with you anyway," Bert pleaded. "No fair," was Forrest's reply from the door. "We are on business. Besides, you can't pray Rita from Ernestine with block and tackle." "That's why I want to see if you could," Bert grinned. "Funny how fellows never appreciate their own sister." Forrest paused for a perceptible moment. "I always thought Rita was a real nice sister. What's the matter with her?" Before a reply could reach him, he had closed the door and was jingling his spurs along the passage to a spiral stairway of bird-concerned steps. As he left, he heard of the stairway. A dance time, piano measure, and bursts of laughter made him peep into a white morning room, flooded with sunshine. A young girl in rose-colored kimono and bonder cap was at the instrument, while two others, similar accoutred in each other's arm, we were prowling a dance never learned at dancing school nor internet by the principal for male eyes to eyes. The girl at the piano discovered him, winked and played on. Not for another minute did the dancer spy him. They gave stirred cries, colpaps, loving in each other's arm, and music stopped. They were gorgeous, healthy young creatures, the three of them, and Forrest's eye kindled as he looked at them in quite the same way that it had kindled when he regretted the father Thorn Prince. "I have been here 5 minutes," Dick Forrest asserted. The two dancers, to cover their confusion, doubted his veracity. instead his many well-known and notorious guile of medicity. The girl at the piano, Ernestine, his sister-in-law, instead that pearl of truth fell from his lips, that she had seen him from the moment had he began to look, and that as she estimated the passage of time, he had been looking much longer than 5 minutes. Well, anyway, Forrest broke in on their babble. Bert, the sweet innocent, doesn't think you are up yet. We are not to him. One of the dancers, a vivacious young Venus, retorted, nor are we to you either. So run along, little boy, run along. Look here, Lud. Forrest began sternly. Just because I am a discreet old man, and just because you are 18, just 18, and happen to be my wife's sister, you needn't presume to put the high and mighty over on me. Don't forget, and I state the fact, disagreeable as it may be, for Rita, Shake, don't forget that in the past 10 years I have peddled you more disgraceful time than you care to dare me to enumerate. It is true. I'm not so young as I used to was, but he filled the biceps of his right arms and made as if to roll up the sleeve. But I am not all in yet, and for 2 cents. What? The young woman called Blackguard Langley. For 2 cents, he muttered rudely, for 2 cents, beside, and it grieves me to inform you, your cap is not unstrained. Also, it is not a very tasteful creation at best. I could make a far more becoming cap with my dolls asleep, and yes, she's sick as well. Lud tossed her blonde head defiantly, glanced at her comrades in solicitation of support, and said, "Oh, I don't know. It seems humanly reasonable that the three of us can woman handle a merry man of your elder and insulting avoided dubious. What do you say, girls? Let's arrest him. He is not a minute under 40, and he has an aneurysm. Yes, and true lot to the blue family secret, he is yet miner's disease." Ernestine, a small but double-blended of 18, sprang from the piano and joined her two comrades in a raid on the cushions of the deep window seats, side by side, a cushion in each hand, and with proper distance between them suddenly established for the swinging of the cushions they advanced upon to vote. Boris prepared for battle, then held up his hand for parley. Fredcat, they taunted in several at first and then in chorus. He shook his head emphatically. Just for that and for all the rest of your insolence, the three of you are going to get yours. All the wrongs of a lifetime are rushing now in my brain in a dazzling brightness. I shall go berserk in a moment, but first, and I speak as an agriculturist, and I address myself to you, Lud, in all humility, in heaven's name, what is minor disease? Do sheep catch it? Meniere's disease. is, Lud began, is what you have got. Sheep are the only nows living. And shoot red war and chaos. Forrest made a football rush of the sort that obtained in California before the adoption of rugby. And the girls broke the line to let him through, turned upon him, flanked him on either side, and pounded him with cautions. He turned with desperate arms, extended finger, each finger a hook, and gripped the tree. The battles became a bright wine, a bee spurman the center, from which radiate flying debris of flimsy silk, disconnect slipper, bounder caps, and hairpins. There were stunts from a caution, cries from the man, squeals, yelps, and jangling for the girl, and from the totality of the combat, inextinguible laughter and a ripping and tearing of. Dick Forrest found himself sprawled on the floor, the wine half knocked out of him by several delivered cautions, his head buzzing from the buffeting, and in one hand a trailing torn and generally disrupted cradle of pale blue silk and pink roses. In one doorway, chick flaming from the struggle. In one doorway, chick flaming from the struggle, stood Rita, alert as a woman and ready to flee. In the other doorways, likewise flamed chicken, stood Ernestine in the commanding attitude of the mother of the Gracie. The red cage of her kimono wrapped severely about her and held severely about her by her own waist, pressing arms. Lud, cornered behind the piano, attempted to run but was driven back by the menace of Forrest, who, on hands and knees, stamped loudly with the palms of his hand on the hardwood floor, rolled his head savagely, and emitted bull-like roars. The piano was miniature Greenland, dainty things of rich white and gold to match the morning rooms. It stood out from the wall, so that there was possibility for Lud to escape around either way of it. Forrest gained his feet and faced her across the board, flat top of the instrument. As he tried to fold it, Lud cried out in horror. "But your spurs, Dick, your spurs? Give me time to take them off," he ordered. As he stooped to unbuckle them, Lud dared to escape, but was hurried back to the shoulder of the piano. "All right," he growled. "On your head be it. If the piano cried it, I will tell Paula. I have got witness." She panted, indicating with her blue jaws eyes the young things in the doorways. "Very well, my dear." Forrest drew back his body and spared his resting palms. "I am coming over to you." Action and speech were simultaneous. His body, posed sideways from his hand, was volleyed across the perilous spur of a pool foot above the glossy white surface, and simultaneously Lud dunked and went under the piano on hands and knees. Her mischance lay in that she bumped her head, and before she could recover way, Forrest had seized the piano and cornered her under it. "Come out," he commanded. "Come out and take your medicines." "A touch?" she pleaded. "A touch, Sir Knight, for dear love's sake, and all damsel in distress." Ain't no night, Forrest announced in his deepest bass. I'm an urge, a fleetly device and altogether undiscreet ogre. I have better safety reserves, can not soothe and calm your savage breast. Lute played it in soulful tones while she studied her chance for escape. One thinks only, miserable female, on things only on the earth, over the earth and under the raining waters. A shriek of a recognized plagiarism interrupted him from Ernestine. Cream of delicate from the young things in the doorways provide the proper answer, and Lute, from under the piano, cried out to young Winbrick, who had appeared. A rescue, Sir Knight, a rescue. And then the maiden was bird challenged. Who art thou? Forrest demanded. King George. Sirrah, I mean Saint George. Then am I thy dragon? Forrest announced with due humanity. Spare these ensigns, honorable and only nick I have. Off with his head the young things encouraged. Off with his head the young things encouraged. Stay thee, maidens, I pray thee. Bird begins, I am only a small potato, yet I am unfeared. I shall bear the dragon, I shall bear him in his gulp. And while he lingeringly cooks to death over my unpalatableness and general painfulness, do you fear damsels? Flee to the mountains, lest the valley fall upon you. Yolo, Petaluma, and West Sacramento are about to be overwhelmed by a tidal wave and many big fish. Off with his head, the young things cannon, slay him in his blood, and barbicals him. Thumbs down, Forrest groaned, I am undone. Truce to the unstrained quality of mercy possessed by Christian young woman in the year 1914, who will vote someday if ever they grow up and do not marry foreigners. Consider my hats of St. George, I am expired. Further, deponent science not. And Forrest, with sobs and silverings, with realistic thunders and kick, and a great jingle of spurt, lie down on the floor and expired. Lute crawled out from under the piano and was joined by Rita and Ernestine in an extemporized dance of the harpists about the slain. In the midst of it, Forrest sat up, protesting also he was guilty of a significant and private wing to Lute. The hero, he cried, forget him not, crown him with flowers. And Bird was crowned with flowers from the face, and say unchanged from the day before, when a bunch of water-logged stem of early tulips, propelled by Lute's vigorous arms, impacted soggily the stage room. Forrest gathered himself together and grinning when jingling on through the big house. He crossed to passion on brick walks, rover with Spain's tile, and swam with early foliage and blossoms, and gained his wings off the house, still breathing from the fun, to find in the office his secretary awaiting him. Good morning, Mr. Blank, he greeted. Sorry I was delayed. He glanced at his wristwatch only for a minute. However, I just could get away sooner. Okay, this is the chapter 4. Okay, that's all about chapter 3. And thank you for watching. And let's say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.